You're listening to
Path of the Jedi
with your host, Ronnie Cruz.
All right, welcome to Path of the Jedi, the podcast where Star Wars meets personal development. My name is Ronnie Cruz, your host for this brand new adventure. Well, it's not brand new. Obviously, we've been around for a little while now. It's just that it's brand new for this year. This is the first episode of the new year for Path of the Jedi. I know it's been actually a longer break than I had last year, and I generally don't take this long of a hiatus from the show. However, a lot has shifted for me in my life in terms of work and schedule, and so I've taken the time I've needed to take to kind of acclimatize. Maybe that's the wrong word, but yeah, just to get used to my new schedule and you know how things are working in life right now, because I am incredibly busy. I've taken on a lot of new projects for myself and moving into kind of a new phase in my career, and so that's necessitated reworking the calendar. And in fact, this show, Path of the Jedi, might actually start publishing and releasing episodes on a different day. Not this week, but sometime soon. I may have to shift our days, so I'll let you know when that happens. But at any case, it is a brand new adventure. This is a new year. It's the first episode of 2023, and I'm really, really excited to, where this is moving forward, because there's lots of things, ideas that I have, intentions that I have for this show, and the purpose and the things that I want to create, the outcomes that I want to create with this show, and that involves a lot of you as my loyal listeners. So thank you for allowing me the grace for taking time off, the time off that was very much needed. But we are back. We are back in full force with, at the very least, a brand new episode every week. That said, in today's episode, I'm not actually going to be discussing anything specific regarding Star Wars necessarily. This is a Star Wars podcast, yes, but it is as much a personal development podcast as it is a Star Wars podcast. So I for anybody who might be new to the show, I want to kind of reintroduce myself, because it has been a while, right? It has been a while since I've actually talked about my history and who I am and what I do, and more importantly, why I'm on this growth journey, why I'm on this personal development journey. Of course, Star Wars is a big part of my life. I have I just have such a passion and love for Star Wars, and of course, as a medium, as a work of literature and fiction, it's very rich, right? Like especially the new stuff. If you've listened to the last season, towards the end of the year, as we discussed Andor. It's such a rich medium, right? It's such a rich mythology. Even if we're just talking about the original trilogy, there's so much to really chew on, and that to me is the testament to the beauty and just the quality that Star Wars is, right? If the quality of any fiction and any literature is whether or not it stands the test of time is determined by I think how much it connects and reflects the human experience, and I think that very much can be said for Star Wars, and that includes the new assets that they're releasing. Of course, there's a lot of new stuff this year. I haven't dove into the new Bad Batch season yet. I'm really excited for that. Of course, Mandalorian season 3 is coming out, and all the other stuff that's on the slate for this year. So really, really exciting stuff in terms of Star Wars. I never would have thought in a million years that I would live in a world where Star Wars was just kept going and perpetuated itself, right? I was from an era with the original trilogy, right? Like that's the Star Wars that I was connected with, and I've loved all Star Wars since then. But I never thought that we would get as much Star Wars and continually get new Star Wars that we get now, right? So it's really it's a fun time to be alive for Star Wars fans, and of course for anyone who listens to this show, because this show really part of it is to kind of translate the messages and the themes of Star Wars into usable principles and things that can help you, well, shine light on your own life experience, right? For today's episode, as I mentioned earlier, I want to kind of reintroduce myself and tell you why I am, not why I am, that was the wrong sentence. Well, what was in my mind and what came out are two different things. What was in my mind was, I've gotten the question a lot over the years, especially since I started this show in particular, is, how did you become this personal development, self-development guru, right? Why are you on this track? How is it that you think of these things and you think in this way? And so I kind of wanted to explain that side of it. Again, Star Wars, that's an easy equation, right? It's easy, I think, for me to communicate how much I love Star Wars, why I'm passionate about Star Wars. The other factor is why did I fall into this self-development, personal development world? So I'll start with entrepreneurism, right? And I'll start with network marketing. I was in a space, coming out of college, early in my adult life, where I just wasn't sure where I was going. That's not true. I was sure I did not want to go down a track of go down a path of working a 9 to 5. Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? Not that there's anything wrong with having a day job or a career in that aspect, but that's just not what I wanted for myself, right? Like I had seen the previous generation live their lives that way, and it just wasn't for me. On the same token, I felt like I was being forced into that path, right? The people of my generation, again, this is the generation that the original Star Wars was our Star Wars. We weren't really told that there was any other paths outside of the go to school, get good grades, so they can go to college, get good grades in college, so that you can study for a good career and you stay in that career for the rest of your life until you retire at the age of 65. That's not the equation that I wanted, and so I fell into network marketing. I fell into network marketing and direct sales, like many people do. They got invited to an Amway meeting, in the guise of it being a business opportunity, and I don't make fun of it because that's what got me into the profession. Like the prospect of being able to get into a business so that I can live life on my own terms was very attractive to me, and so I got into that profession. Long story short, and 2 companies later, I was able to parlay that initial introduction to network marketing and Amway to a very successful career in direct sales and network marketing, one that has led me, that has opened me up to some crazy adventures. Pretty much exactly the life that I wanted, right? The freedom to do what I wanted to do, the freedom to live life on my own terms. With that, however, the journey to my success in network marketing it had to come at a cost of personal growth. Like there really was no way around it. The level of mindset and personal growth that I was at in my early adulthood, I was not prepared mentally, maturity, emotionally, like my mental health, I was not prepared to be successful and to have a successful business. I wasn't the person I needed to be in order to grow a successful network marketing business, or any business at that, for that matter. So that's where personal development, where I was introduced to personal development. It was a direct result of participating in the network marketing profession, right? I got introduced to self-development and personal development. And so I poured myself into it because I knew that if this was part of the success equation, that I would dive in wholeheartedly. I'm not one to half-ass anything that I really want to achieve, right? And so given that all my mentors and all the gurus in the space were teaching that you gotta dive into personal development, and that's what's going to help you become successful, then I poured myself into it wholeheartedly. And the more I did, the more I saw that the people who are the massive massively successful in their fields, whether it's network marketing or whether it's outside of network marketing. I mean, you see all the businessmen, business people, and entrepreneurs who are absolutely killing it. They all have a personal development regimen and really very much believe in reading good nonfiction. I mean, like even President Barack Obama spoke about it. I can't remember which book it was that I read of his, but he spoke about having the importance of having a self-development regimen, right? All right. So it's not something that's just reserved for or unique to network marketing and direct sales. It's something that people who have achieved any level of success in any field and whatever version of success looks like, it doesn't have to be monetarily or materialistically, but no matter what it is, the successful and the achievers have some sort of personal development under their belt, and they're on a growth journey. They're on a growth trajectory. So that's kind of how I got introduced to personal development and these concepts of growth. The reality though is that, as I mentioned before, I was not in a place, in my mentality where I could be successful at anything, right? I actually realized, well, in the course of my journey and personal development and my growth, that I've had a lot of things that I've had to kind of personally deal with from my own histories, from my own experiences in life, especially my early life and my childhood and my developmental years, before I moved out of the house. There was a lot of things that I had to kind of unpack and a lot of baggage that I was carrying that would have held me back. And the thing is here, like in at least in my culture, in the Filipino culture, from my observation, maybe it's just for my unique family experience, but there was no such thing as mental health, right, or mental illness. There was no conversations around that, and I think that's true of a lot of people's experience. Again, especially of my generation. There's the conversation about mental health and mental illness is very mainstream now, and I'm glad it is because it's an important conversation. But for me growing up, life was hard because life was hard, right? Like depression and unhappiness and anxiety were chalked up to, well, that's life and it's hard, right? And you just have to deal with it. And so, my foray into personal development was as much an exploration into how can I become a better business person as it was, how can I be happier? How can I live a more fulfilled life? How can I see the world a different way? Because there were some things there still are some deep-seated things that I deal with, and I hate to affirm this, but like my default is it's very okay. Yeah, so I do hate saying this, and this is broadcast to the public, but I've typically and historically just been. I'm a depressive. I'm just going to say that. And this is something that I've worked on over the years. Again, personal development is a big part of that. This podcast is a big part of that. It's as much for you, it's as much, giving you content and value and things that can help you, in your day-to-day life as it is for me, right? This is I think, especially the last 6 to 7, 8 months, it's very, very much been a source of almost therapy for me as well, right? So this journey of personal development is to kind of address the darker sides of things that never got talked about or that never really saw the light, other than, it got brushed off, not necessarily brushed off, but the only conversation that we knew to have about, mental illness and mental health and the struggles of life was just life is hard and it's supposed to be hard. Just deal with it, right? It doesn't have to be, right? Obviously. And so my journey through personal development, even though it was introduced to me this whole world was introduced to me through network marketing. It's become so much more than that. It's opened me up to the deeper meanings of life, the broader and more vast capabilities that we have as human beings, and that we have in ourselves, in our own beautiful and complicated minds. There's so much that we can tap into to help us have, again, exactly the things that I was searching for in life, especially early in life, and that is more fulfillment, more happiness, and less strife, and less depression, and less anxiety. I still very much experience those things, not to say that I don't, but I have a different perspective on those things. And what's even more enjoyable is that I can have a different perspective on those experiences and those things that I know about myself through the lens of something that I love, like Star Wars. And so I continue to explore personal development and neurological sciences and behavioral sciences and psychological sciences, as well as the beauty of arts and creativity. I'm at root a musician and an artist and a singer, songwriter. I'm an actor, so I'm creative at heart. So that's a lot of where my expression is and comes from in the language that I speak. And so I love being able to explore. Just explore. I think that's really. And I apologize. Sorry, I realize I'm looking around the room as I'm recording this, so the volumes may vary through this recording. I'll try to tweak it as in post production as much as I can. But for me, creativity is exploration, and so this is a different kind of exploration that I really love as well. Right, it's allowed me to explore even more. Right, explore the natural abilities and capabilities that we have, explore the amazing beauty of the world and of this life and of this existence. And on this show, I can do that through the lens of something that I absolutely adore, and that is Star Wars. So that's kind of the long and short of why I continue to seek out perspectives of life and expand my knowledge and my own perspective, and why I share that with you, because here's the last piece of the puzzle. This show is largely in the hopes that, in knowing that there are other people out there that have experienced challenges and difficulties and things like mental illness and depression and anxiety, and may not have the answers like me when I was younger, and not knowing that it's there are solutions, or there are other perspectives other than life is just hard, right? If that's you, then this show is for you, and if that's not you, this show is also for you, because it's as entertaining as it is educational and inspiring, right? So that's really my message for today. I appreciate you guys. I wanna come into this new year with new excitement, new passion, a renewed enthusiasm for this show and this message and the purpose of why we have Path of the Jedi. And so this episode is as much a reintroduction of me to you as it is a reintroduction of Path of the Jedi to me. And reminding myself of its purpose and of its reason for being, right? Its reason for being. So I appreciate each and every one of you. In that case, this week's shout out goes to you. And I know I do that a lot on this show. I shine a light on each and every one of you as my listeners, but I do. I am so grateful to each and every one of you. I may not know you personally. I may not have ever met you. I may not even ever meet you. I hope I do, but I may not. Regardless of that, despite that, I want you to know that you matter. You are important to me, and I am so grateful to you. So that's going to do it for this show. Tune in next week. Definitely more to come, right? Next week, we're going to dive into. We're going to revisit Qui-Gon Jinn's quote, "Your focus determines your reality," and we're going to talk about We're going to talk about that, because I haven't talked about it in a while, and it's an important one. I might have a new perspective on it since it's been so long. So that's next week's episode. I'm also going to do a new a Jedi Academy episode talking about I'm having a brain fart right now. Anyways, that's coming. Just know that it's coming. So you'll catch us next week. I'll let you guys know next week if there's going to be any changes in terms of the day of release. But otherwise, be expecting it, same bat channel, same bat time. So until then, be well, be safe. And remember, may the Force be with you.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company nor Lucasfilm Limited, and is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names and sounds and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is intellectual property of Path of the Jedi unless otherwise indicated.